What up, people? What's good? Salute.
Yes, sir.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Salute to the tribe. We're hip hop and comics and hip hop. We're a niche channel. Reserved for the best. It's super dope. I do sell comics. Check me out on Instagram at 6th_element_comics. Yeah, because comic books are the sixth element of hip hop. We want cider. We want cider.
We want cider.
Funny.
We want cider. Yeah.
What's good, y'all? Sixth element of hip hop. This is our normal DC Power Hour scheduled show, but today is going to be a little bit of a hybrid, a little bit of hip hop and comics, a little bit of DC Power Hour, because on Wednesday we sort of booted our normal scheduled hip hop and comics stuff for just straight DC content because the announcement had finally been made by James Gunn, and we had to cover that. So kind of making up for them that lost time. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. We got a good show. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Stu and Sada.
Yeah, doing good.
I'm cold. It's so cold.
I know it's cold. It is cold.
It's so cold right now.
Stay warm.
That there was a snowman in my freezer trying to get warm. That's how cold.
Man, you looking for shelter in the freezer. God damn.
Yes, sir. That's how cold it is where I'm at right now.
And man, Frosty drinking Frosty trying to get warm. It's that bad, y'all. But I mean, down here in VA, it's 30 degrees right now. It was like 20 last night. So I know up there in Jersey, New York, y'all really, Maryland, yeah, it's got to be like the teens, you know. And listen, spending most of my life in Florida, a lot of people in the rest of the country or in not cold parts, they really have no idea just how cold it be getting up here. And the human body ain't really built for that. But over time, you can sort of get used to it. But I don't care how old you are, how long you live there. If you live in Canada, you need a thick ass jacket because people are not built for that cold madness. I mean, and if you go up north, you got to buy your winter gear from there. You can't bring your shit that you bought in the south and think it's gonna keep you warm. No. It's a different product they got up there. You know what I mean? Chicago is crazy cold. Yo, what's good, Metaphysics? Original Origin, peace, salute. 68 in
Arizona. Wow. Thank you. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I guess you had to put on socks today. No, I guess you had to put on socks today, my man. Yeah, 68.
Yeah, had to wear a shirt.
Let me bring out my socks. It's 68 degrees. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I wear a shirt today. But shit, in AZ, man, it's you know, it's the desert, so it'd be cold as fuck at night. Still get super cold in the middle of the night. Yeah, and it do snow out there. It does snow out there. We
in the mountains,
Yeah, I was out in Arizona in Holbrook, a small little town. Wait, was it Holbrook? Yeah, right there by where the crater is and all of that. And yeah, it snowed. It snowed one winter. He said,
I was out there in the summer
right now.
I was out there in the summer. We were at an amusement park, and there were mountains in the background, and there was snow on top of the mountains. You could see it. I mean, I was like, damn. And it was like 101 where we were at. But I was like telling my kids, I was like, that's how high up it is. It's cold up there, sir. It was like that. I said, well, that's how the temperature changes on this planet as you travel through the different, spheres of the planet.
Yeah.
He said, original said, I got shorts on. Must be great. Must be great. If I go outside in shorts right now, original, I'm done.
It'll be a wrap.
Jealous.
Done. I wouldn't last 5 minutes.
No, sir.
Can't even walk to the mailbox with shorts on.
Well, so we before so we, like I said, man, we're doing a little hybrid, so this is not going to be strictly DC content as normally would be on Saturday. But one thing, for instance, that I wanted to talk about the other day was Rick and Morty. It's like my favorite cartoon. We talked a little bit about it, but the main guy, Justin Roiland, the guy that does the voices of most of the characters on the show, including Rick and Morty. Which by the way is crazy because he switches between Rick and Morty mid, like he doesn't like record all Morty's parts and then Rick's parts. Like I've seen him do it, and it's like he switches live, and it's amazing. But he's did some bad things, I guess. He been in some domestic disputes. May have possibly allegedly got physical with a woman, and that's definitely not it. So they separated. You know, they had to cut ties, which I think they should have waited till he was convicted. But again, we talked about that. But season 7 is going to be recasting its 2 title characters, obviously, due to this dismissal. And there's already an in-universe explanation for this change. And I don't know that I want one. I'm leaning towards just let the thing go. But the anarchic world of Rick and Morty has very few rules, you know, so which is a major element of the animated comedy's appeal. So, but there has been a level of consistency throughout Rick and Morty's 6 seasons, for example, both title characters being played by Justin Roiland, since Rick and Morty's pilot episode. Adult Swim cut ties, and you know that is what it is. But so they've come up with this, you know, this explanation that's actually going to exist in universe. So I guess they're planning for there to be some difference, because we thought they were going to try to seamlessly just put a new voice actor in and act like nothing changed, but I guess they're not doing that. But this could succeed thanks to, you know, an existing canon storyline from the season 6 finale, where it unintentionally set up Rick's potential voice replacement. Beginning in the season 6 premiere, you had Rick Prime storyline provides a coincidental pathway for Rick and Morty season 7 to recast the characters. In episode 1, you had C-137's Rick began his fruitless, all-consuming search for Rick Prime. That's sort of what it's about. And the storyline give both versions of Rick a reason to disguise themselves and their voices. When Rick and Morty season 7 starts, that's how it's going to be. So Rick and Morty in the season 6 finale further underline this, and you had Rick finally found Rick Prime's hiding place, only for him to discover to his dismay that the villain was simultaneously all over the universe at the same time. And that means there can be countless versions of Rick Prime and 137 Rick. Both can go undercover to seek him out, you know, thus justifying new voices for both versions of Rick. And this storyline would add up no matter what, you know, which way Rick and Morty season 7 sort of utilizes this twist potential theory. And it could be Rick Prime who changes his voice to evade detection by C-137 Rick. Or you could have C-137 Rick alter his voice to lure Rick Prime out of hiding. And this wouldn't be the first time that Rick and Morty pulled this twist off either, because you had, like I said, season 6 most divisive episode where Rick replaced himself with an identical clone. And it wasn't even revealed to us, the audience, until the next episode that the whole time that wasn't Rick, but his clone. And that twist would work better in season 7 if viewers knew it was still the same old Rick with a disguised voice. But it's kind of a tradition with Rick and Morty. They've always made fourth wall leaning gags about the show's status, you know, as a TV show, and you know, its commonplace trope, you know, has never been more justified than now if they were to use that. But what do y'all think? I mean, I think they should just cancel the show personally.
Yeah, I mean, if the life of the show and the star is not going to be a part of it anymore, I just don't really see how you keep it going. I don't know. I just don't know how you keep that going, because they've tried to do that before with some other shows. I wish I could think of it, and it just didn't work as well. So
I was trying to think of some examples too.
Ended here, because I know they've done it before. I just can't think of the show. I'm gonna think on it, but yeah, Color. I would say
Living Color is one of them.
Living Color.
Living Color. Remember the Keenan Ivory Wayans had a dispute with, I think it was, they were on Fox at the time or something like that, and he left. But they owned, like, it was weird because he had already like signed on a contract to do so many shows, and the creative differences just matched, and he was just like, look, they were trying to make him do stuff he didn't want to do, and he was like, we're not doing that. And they were like, oh,
Right.
you have to, you under contract. And he was like, you know what, I ain't gotta do nothing, and he left. And he took all the original cast with him. So he took
and
everybody
had
with him. So then,
the company
yeah,
had to
remember we were
recast.
watching it, and they had to recast everybody. So remember, we lost Damian Wayans, we lost all the Wayans brothers. I
did not remember
who else?
that, bro.
The only people that stayed in that first season was I think Jim Carrey was there for one or half a season. What was my man's name? David Allen Greer, and a couple of, and then they dropped off, and the ratings just dropped. Nobody liked it. Everybody was like, "Oh,
I was in like 5th or 6th, 7th grade, maybe, or something like that. But I don't remember ever watching In Living Color and not seeing the original cast. So I must have like dropped off, like probably most people did when they did that, because I don't remember watching that at all. I wouldn't have watched.
We didn't.
Anyway.
And we didn't need social media to get that word out. I mean,
right.
People knew me, and I guess people might have gave it a chance, but once you saw it, like even I was like, man, this ain't the same, and you could tell he wasn't writing for it anymore.
Right.
They just totally tried to they bought it a new, like his brother, one of his other brother was the DJ, and I mean, and I was just like, yo, that's another example. Not this one, to me is just a minor. This is something in his personal life. Like, I don't get that.
Yeah.
I could see if it was. I don't understand how something in his personal life affects him doing the show. I don't get it.
Well, especially because he wasn't convicted. He's just still just a charge. There's no reason to jump the gun. But it's they're afraid of they're canceling someone because they're afraid of cancel culture. Isn't that ironic? It's like, to avoid getting canceled, they want to hurry up and get, let's cancel this guy.
Cancel you. Yeah.
They should have waited.
Cancel you.
Waited.
They want to cancel you before you can get canceled.
And they could have easily gotten away with saying, we're waiting for him to be convicted. We don't know. He's still innocent at this point until he's proven guilty. There would have been no problem with that. I think even from liberals, far leftists who would normally have a problem with this sort of thing is like, don't you believe in due process too? So I'm sure they could have gotten around it. It seems silly. It seems a little bit, they're jumping the gun, but with Rick and Morty's 6 seasons that we had with Justin Roiland so far, Rick and Morty sort of prided itself on less than ideal worlds, and that's why the original Smiths, the family that the series began with, are dead. The Rick's current family in the show are from a whole nother universe, and it's something this mainstream Rick that's from universe C-137, where his wife and Beth died, and Morty have both accepted, with Rick, this Rick looking to continue that unhealthy vendetta against the Rick that terrorized him, aka Weird Rick, and ending with season 6's conclusion fits the never-ending chaos and vicious cycle that Rick often lops Morty into. It'd be quite existential, but true to the show, leaving it all just ambiguous for maybe, continuing in the comics or whatever as this hunt goes. But just to end it, man, because it may be a bit abrasive, it may be jarring, it may be a shock. Yeah, it sucks, but it kind of is the best time. One of those kind of go out while you're on top kind of deals. And this would further speak to sort of Rick never finding a cure for his angst, right? Reminding fans that he might not have been meant for that happy ending. That was not what Rick and Morty was ever about. So we're fine with leaving it this way. Nobody's looking for some happy ending that is a fan of this show. Trust me. And with Jerry and Beth, in a throuple, right? Summer with Beth's other Beth from the other universe, and then Summer finding her footing as a warrior, and almost everyone else in Rick and Morty's life happy, leaving Rick and Morty, the duo, in a state of flux, would sort of tie into how always live, how they always live their lives. And admittedly, fans have been vocal about the last couple of seasons, right? With some digging continuity and the long narrative, and others are like, they not really crazy about the reducing the world hopping, but with Evil Morty, right? If you're following the show, you got Evil Morty, and he broke out of the multiverse and is finding worlds where Rick hid dumb versions of himself that weren't super geniuses, and there's no more, really to truly explore, really, and it's all been done. So a sudden end is on brand, if that makes sense. Like it kind of makes sense to just cut it off this way. So it really wouldn't be all that, you know what I'm saying? Like it wouldn't be all that tragic is my point. So it's not that big a deal. Like go ahead and just cancel the show, because personally I don't want to see a show without Justin Roiland. That's what made the show great. But Rick and Morty has to send a message, right, to Hollywood, because over the last few years, right, the Me Too movement has seen a lot of actors, executives, and men in power sort of called out for sexual harassment and assault, and thus to try to soldier on feels like working around toxic masculinity rather than paying the consequences. But Adult Swim, for example, should have handled this, in the beginning and sorted out a way forward before the brand fell deeper into terms, of being so intrinsically linked to Roiland's voice, or waited until maybe he's found innocent. What if he's found not guilty? How are they going to look then? And something that'd be, but not to mention it'd be hard to consume the show's meta habit of throwaway jokes in the future, but being self-referential in this case would be tone deaf. Couple that with Harrison's own sexual harassment drama and his being fired from Community, and there's been, there has to be a punishment more severe than apologies, moving on and getting so many second chances. To push forward would be Rick and Morty leaving these elephants in the room. So it's almost contradictory or hypocritical of them not to cancel the show. Just put it, instead of just like putting band-aids on the thing. Yeah, I mean, if it calls out other celebrities and, the point that the show is going to feel loaded and hypocritical, and ultimately with all this weight, forget PR and damage control, right? It's time to pull the plug, which is something that in Rick's character, reminding the entertainment industries to hold its sinners accountable. But it works. I mean, I would be mad. And this is coming from a big fan. I mean, I don't know what y'all feel about it. I know y'all may not be big Rick and Morty fans or whatever, but as a big fan, I'm saying cancel the shit.
Yeah, I don't have any stake in the fight, but
right.
I mean, if he's the heart of the show, and and he voices the characters, right? So I just don't know how you're gonna replace that. There's gonna be a void. It's similar. I hate that this is the only example I can think of, but it's similar to Wakanda Forever. Like there's a clear void in that movie. And it's no one's fault. It is what it is, but it's just kind of like that's something you should just cancel. And move on from it.
Yeah. Exactly. And shout out to Diamond Onyx, who's hitting us up from Twitch and YouTube at the same time.
Diamond Onyx.
Let me see. Oh, damn. I can't mod you up on Twitch right now because I'm not even over there. But I could definitely mod you on YouTube. But you already modded on YouTube anyway. Yeah, I can't do it over there, Onyx. Right now. I'll get it done, but I can't do it at the moment. But what's this bot saying? What's going on? He says, "Hi, I want to offer promotion of your channel, blah blah blah." Yeah, nah, we not doing that today. But it's all good. Get your money, dog. Yeah, man. So that's the deal with Rick and Morty. What else we got? Yeah, that's pretty much it for Rick and Morty. But I want to jump on back to what we was kind of talking about the other day a little bit, with James Gunn's announcement and things like that. He also said that he got a few of his nerd tricks from Kevin Feige too, so I'm definitely seeing a lot of that bleed over. But it's The Authority. So that's what I wanted to talk about, the Authority. Because a lot of people don't know who the Authority is. A lot of people are like, who's the Authority? They have no idea. And I've talked to a lot of people, they actually thought that the Authority was something to do with Amanda Waller, just I guess because of the name and seeming, like an authority thing. But yeah. But, we were all expecting Superman and Batman and, in James Gunn's new slate. But there was a lot of stuff that we weren't expecting. One of those was definitely The Authority, which is a really dope comic by Jim Lee from the Wildstorm imprint. DC's hardcore, sort of bloody and profanity, infused super team series. But the non-comic readers, might be like, who is this? I never heard of him. And whoever had the media exposure, DC super groups like Justice League and the Teen Titans probably had heard of them, but it is a cult title. Okay, but the Authority has had some of comics' biggest names working on it over the past 25 years and created the template for comics like The Boys and Invincible and all of that. So think that kind of style. But it was first published in 1999, The Authority, and it was actually part of DC's Wildstorm imprint. Wildstorm was superstar artist Jim Lee's own label, and under the Image Comics banner at the time, and Lee later sold it to DC in 98. But back in 92, in the early Wildstorm days, Lee created the hit series Wildcats, and as well as its spin-off title Stormwatch. And it was sort of in Stormwatch that the Authority was really born. And many of the characters later made famous by the Authority were created for Stormwatch long before DC Comics was ever in the picture. But Stormwatch were, superpowered heroes who answered to the UN, the United Nations, and as many DC and Marvel teams historically did. They debuted in 1993, but it was like by the late 90s that their style of superhero comics was definitely going out of fashion. Because all through the 90s had a very specific vibe to it. And if you into comics, you sort of know that 90s style, you know what I mean? Like Image, all the big shiny superhero stuff, a lot of action, a lot of, guns and not a whole lot of story. But a lot of action and great art and great characters. But the writer Warren Ellis took over the series in 97, which let him do anything he wants on the title. It's dying anyway, sort of, and sort of introduce a bunch of new characters like Jenny Sparks, Jack Hawksmoor, stuff like that. And then in 1998, he basically killed off all the members of the Stormwatch team that he didn't create in the Wildcats / Aliens crossover. Aliens from the big, the xenomorphs from the movies in a bloody rampage ultimately led to the creation of the Authority. And the Authority, sort of made up of remnants of Stormwatch, was a mashup of DC's Justice League and Marvel's Avengers. Okay, like the JLA, there were 7 core members, right? You had Apollo and Midnighter were the counterparts to Superman and Batman. Midnighter, Batman, Apollo, respectively. And so only they were gay. So that was the difference. They were a committed gay couple. Both were genetically engineered, and with Apollo having powers nearly identical to Superman, and like him, drawn from the sun, all of that. And then Midnighter sort of could predict any move in a fight, right? Giving him like a hand-to-hand combat, chess move where he's seeing, 2 moves ahead. He already knows what you're going to do next, which is similar to Batman in a way. And so they instantly proved to be the most popular and most attention-getting members of the team. You had Swift had like Angel, right? Had wings, sort of like DC's Hawk Girl. And the Doctor was like a mystic, kind of Doctor Strange kind of, thing. And then the Engineer was just like a sort of Iron Man type of deal. And then you had on the side of the X-Men's, Colossus was sort of another inspiration for him. And then Jack Hawksmoor was definitely a very unique member. So a character sort of who drew his strength and power from the energy of different cities. And the team's leader, Jenny Sparks, was an edgier version of Captain Britain. Basically, she's got the Union Jack flag costume, but she's got like electricity powers. And but unlike their DC and Marvel universe counterparts, the Authority only followed their own authority. They didn't really answer to anybody. They didn't have this big moral code that you have with Batman or something that, you know, they would never kill the bad guy. The Authority doesn't give a fuck. They'll kill anybody to you know, make the world better, right? So the team's home base was a bit of an homage to S.H.I.E.L.D., the helicarrier from Marvel. And so just called the Carrier, and it basically floated in the sky. And it was a ship that sort of was capable of moving through the bleed. And if you're a DC fan, you know, it's the red space that sort of separates the alternate universes and different stuff in the multiverse. And the bleed would later become a big part of DC's mythology and stuff like that. And one of the series' big contributions to DC lore, too, by the way, that's something that came out of the Authority. And then through the Carrier, the team, you know, they could just appear anywhere in the world in a blink of an eye. It would just teleport. So, and their goals were ultimately noble, right? You know, like your regular superhero, unlike the Seven in The Boys, and they took the law into their own hands, you know, and they didn't allow things like intentional law, you know, or international law rather, or, you know, innocent till proven guilty, to impede their brutal version of justice. You know what I'm saying? What do you call it? Judge, jury, executioner shit. You know, pure vigilantism, and a version of justice that saw them invading sovereign nations, crushing the skulls of corrupt leaders. You know what I'm saying? In fact, they eventually set themselves up as rulers of the United States at one point. So, you know, never the biggest seller. You know what I'm saying? The Authority was obviously not. It never became a big hit. Much like a lot of Suicide Squad, Guardians of the Galaxy, teams like this that never became big mega hits. But the Authority was the sort of buzzy book that everyone in the early 2000s was talking about. And you had art by Brian Hitch, was very cinematic art, very big, and the battles, you know, looked like the movie versions of superhero fights that we know now in MCU and things like that. And then after Warren Ellis left the title, a series of writers who all would become the biggest names in modern comics followed him up. Mark Millar, Ed Brubaker, Dan Abnett, Andy Lanning, just to name a couple. Artists like Frank Quietly also made a name for themselves thanks to this series. But it's gritty, you know what I mean? It's violent as fuck, no holds barred take on superheroes. Influenced everything from, like I said, the Ultimates, Garth Ennis' The Boys, obviously. Even the kid-friendly animated Justice League took inspiration from the Authority. In the episode A Better World, you had an alternate Earth Justice Lords who were a Justice League that took over the world and drew inspiration from the Authority. And there was many ways in which the Authority set the tone for many of the 21st century's best superhero stories, many that received more recognition and never really, you know, it never really was found out that actually came from the Authority. And then in the 2000s, you know, the book that parodied DC and Marvel heroes was itself parodied by DC in the seminal Action Comics number 775. You had Joe Kelly introduce the Elite, which was a thinly veiled riff on the Authority, and he designed the Superman story to pose the question: could Superman's moral code and no killing rules exist in a world with heroes like the Authority? And the leader of the Elite was Manchester Black, and was a clear combination of the Authority's Jenny Sparks and Jack Hawksmoor, at least from a visual perspective. And however, the Superman story proved so popular, the Elite became a regular part of the DC universe. And they were even subject of an animated film. You had Superman versus the Elite, which some of you may have seen. Manchester
That was a
Black.
good one.
It was a good one, right? I like that one. And Manchester
That
Black,
was underrated one.
underrated, man, and that's a great word for the authority. Basically, that sort of sums it up. Underrated. But yeah, I mean, the character Manchester Black came on to CW Supergirl, and so they've been out there in different ways. But with the Elite around, did they need the authority around, right? So everything runs its course. But by the end of the 2000s, the authority's days as a trend-setting concept were pretty much done, and its imitators had eclipsed it, had taken from it and blew up bigger than it, and it sort of got forgotten. You know what I mean? And that sort of happens sometimes. But here we are, and the authority is back again, and I think it's dope. When DC folded in its Wildstorm titles into the DC universe in the New 52 reboot in 2011, a lot of the authority characters made the transition into DC, but the authority itself as a team, as a title, did not. And so they were essentially replaced with the returning Stormwatch series. Solo titles for the characters like Midnighter and Apollo were released. I just had some dope Midnighter comics that I had gone through, and sold. But yeah, but no books called The Authority. For 10 years, there was no team going by that name until 2021. Grant Morrison, who did all that other shit we love, who briefly wrote the old Wildstorm title, wrote a new series called Superman and the Authority. And in this version, you had Kal-El secretly created the Authority as a team when he began to lose his powers. And that was his team. And so things start to get really meta with this incarnation of the group. And as part of this new team, you had Superman recruited Manchester Black. The character was created as a riff from the original Authority leader, Jenny Sparks. And Morrison then included classic Authority characters like Apollo and Midnighter. But, several new members were classic DC Universe stand-ins for characters in the original lineup. Enchantress was an analog of the Doctor, and then you had Steel, which was there replacing the Engineer, and so on. But it was very much a case of the snake eating its own tail, right? And it was this last incarnation of the team that we saw in the comics. So I don't know what version we're gonna get, because there's been a lot. I don't know if it's going to really harken back to the original team, or if it's going to be the DC-fied version of it. You know what I mean? Who knows? But all I know is that if you like The Boys, if you liked Invincible, if you like Watchmen, if you like that kind of stuff, then you're going to really like The Authority. What's up? What's going down?
Oh, I wasn't sure if you were finished or not. Wait, what is this?
Yeah, I'm just reading the comments. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I think they sound interesting, learning a little bit about them. I feel like I would want to see them on, I don't even know about a film. I think that sounds like it's better suited for a TV show. But I feel like we don't need it in this first chapter. I think if they wanted to do something like The Authority, maybe ease people into the crime syndicate. I felt like that would be a way to, you just kind of swap it out like that. And then maybe in chapter 2, bring in the Authority and have them go against Superman or whatever. I just feel like right now he's going to have to do a hell of a lot of work, unnecessary work, to really, get people to want to invest and see in the Authority. But so it could play out in his favor.
You want the first chapter to be just more of the main characters that are more well known.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit. Because I feel like DC is missing that foundational aspect. They never got it right, and so we need to get it right. And we have some of it, but it's still kind of weird because we have a young Superman while Batman is a little older, Batman and Wonder Woman, and it's just kind of weird, and we have the lanterns and everything. It just, I kind of want them to build towards that first, and then have teams like the Authority come in, or such and such and such and such. So I'm not against seeing them on screen, just kind of not right now. And I think they definitely should have had a TV show. Like, them and the Lanterns should be switched. Lanterns should be a movie, and then they should have been the TV show, if anything.
That's a valid point.
Because I feel like the Lanterns, they need that film budget, you know, to kind of bring that to life. The realm of Oa and the space adventures. So I just feel like they're kind of cheapening out by having it be like true detective-esque. So I feel like do that for the Authority, you know. But yeah.
That's what I was saying too about that with the with Lanterns. It was like making it on Earth seems like a way to cut the budget, but we'll see what they do with it.
They're like, no rings for this show, not too much.
I mean, but you're right. Like the Authority definitely fits better as like The Boys, like a show. I think you're right about that. This is, but you know, like James Gunn said, this is a passion project for him. Really, he's been into it. He said it's one of his passion projects that he's been working on for a while and stuff like that. So, but you pointed out that we haven't seen, you know, that he didn't give us the entire slate. He just gave us what he could give us, is what he said. And
I think that was a reference to the whole slate. I honestly don't know. Sometimes James Gunn is really confusing, but I'm gonna go with maybe we didn't get the whole slate. He can be confusing.
This is possible. But there you go, Stu. You could see there's there.
Oh yes, fans made this surprisingly. I'm like, WB, what's going on? Like, we should have had a visual like this.
Really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, okay. This was made by fans, not by WB. Which is just the funniest thing, because it's like this would have helped people understand how the universe is being shaped out. So WB, come on.
Well,
because there you see it at the top.
Easy. Well, it's easier because everything at the top is where they just reset the whole universe.
Yeah,
that's going to be
gods and monsters.
We
that's the
new yet from the old.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the stuff that we've been wishing for but haven't got. Batgirl should be in there somewhere, but we're not going to talk about that.
I knew it was coming.
No, it's not going to be in there.
The one at the bottom, Elseworlds.
Yeah,
that's where this is where I think their whole mistake is. Okay, you have Elseworlds, and we know for a fact that anything that says DC Elseworlds is not really canon. It's not really. It's taking it's taking the DC characters and just writing stories with them, like whatever it may be. So why couldn't we get Man of Steel in there? Yeah, why couldn't we get another Black Adam movie in there? Like, it didn't. I don't understand why you had to destroy something that the fans really wanted in order for that middle part right there to come to life. Well, because I even heard a rumor that they want Tom Holland to play Superman.
Okay, now that was full of crap.
Listen, that's the rumor. That's the word. That's the word on the streets right now.
That's full of crap.
On the streets right now. I'm telling you. I know you're getting excited, Sada, but that's
are lying
on the street. That's the word on the street, is that James Gunn wants Tom Holland to play the young Superman. I'm telling y'all, this is I was in the digital streets. I'm telling y'all, this is what I heard. Listen, Sada, I know you're getting excited and everything, but this is
I'm getting I'm crying on the inside. Just
she's getting excited. She's like, holy crap, Tom.
No.
I mean, think about it. Is he going to do another Spider-Man movie?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. That's been up in the air for some years now.
That's been up in the air.
I don't know. Honestly, it's never been confirmed that he's doing like the fourth movie. I mean, it's been out there, the rumors and stuff, but we don't know really. So
you could assume it, but it hasn't been said.
It hasn't been confirmed. So in the meantime, what is he going to do? He need a job. And James Gunn wants to do a younger Superman. We do know that he wants to do a younger Superman, and that younger Superman could be Tom Holland.
Yeah, I would.
That's the word on the street.
That's
the word on the street. Mm-hmm.
Well, he also said about you. All right. He also said about the Authority. He said the Authority is a big movie, and I don't know how many of you are familiar with The Authority. The Authority is a very different kind of superhero story. They're basically good intention, but they think the world is completely broken, and the only way to fix it is to take things in their own hands. With whether that means killing people, destroying heads of state, changing governments, whatever they want to do to make the world better. And we'll see how that journey goes for them. But as I said earlier, there's morally gray characters, of which these are, and that's sort of his intention. But the two main characters are a gay couple, so I'm sure that has something to do with wanting to do this project right away. And then he also said, yeah, we love that they think the ends justify the means, and that they're the ones that decide what they think the ends justify the means, and they're the ones that decide what the right ends are. In the case of the Authority comics series, timing was really everything. The series launched on a wave of anxiety about the end of the 20th century and the start of the 21st century, with one character's arc literally ending with her death as the spirit of the 21st century. And the Authority would continue to resonate with comics fans in the early 2000s as a reflection of the post 9/11 world, where heroes with harder edges and dogmas were very much in vogue, like Jack Bauer and stuff like that. And there's a lot more about the world of socio-political themes of the times and the Authority either reflected or predicted, and we're all building up a deep world in mythos, end quote. But it definitely is going to be their most violent project, that you can bet. It's definitely going to be the most violent thing that they'll probably do. And that's another kind of reason to do the Authority, is to get that sort of feed that itch of people that want that. You know what I mean? So that'll definitely cater to those Deadpool and the boys and fans and Invincible fans and shit like that.
Yeah.
Hey guys,
we know Hollywood likes to we know Hollywood likes to copycat, and that's just what it is. We're gonna get whatever's popular. That's the format they're gonna give us these movies in. Until that format is not as popular as it is now, then that's what we got. So we just gotta wait and see. Inside of you might get Tom Holland as Spider-Man. I mean, it's Superman.
No, please.
You might get it.
No, come on. No. We are not getting that man as Superman. Maybe Spider-Man, if you know that comes together at all. Maybe, right. But not Superman. What word on the street even told you that?
That's the word on the street. Well, we know Batista wanted to play Bane, and he said as of right now he hasn't heard anything, and Gunn hasn't reached out to him about it. So,
what do you think? Do you think he would be good as Bane?
Yeah. I mean, listen, Bane, he just doesn't have the accent. Bane's Spanish.
Yeah. I want Bane to have the accent. I really want him to have it.
Right. Unless they put like the luchador mask, and he could do like a Darth Vader thing where, somebody.
I feel like he's just,
he's doing the moving.
Yes.
And they got somebody else talking. Yeah.
Whatever Bane we do, he's got to have the mask. He's got to be a boss. He's got to become an actor at this point.
They won't. I'm just shocked to know why they won't do it.
I know. Like, do they think it's not profitable? I don't understand. Like, could you imagine if they had announced like a Bane movie in this first slate? I mean, we already have all these other random projects. Like, people would have been pumped for that, or even like people would have been pumped for a Bane show or something like.
Yeah, Norman Rad, that's right. That's what I was just saying earlier. I think you just came in, but yeah, the when Superman started losing his powers and stuff, that was the second version where they had some more DC characters and stuff. So hopefully that's not the version I want to see anyway. I definitely want to see the real joint or the original joint. But yeah. Oh, you see Netflix rolled out the anti-password sharing measures. They are yeah. No more password sharing.
So, I mean, you know what? That's a double-edged sword, because on one end,
I don't think they got losing money. Yeah.
On one end, you losing money, but on the other end, you're gonna still lose money because now people are gonna be like, all right, well, I can't password share. skip it. I'm just gonna cancel it all together.
Yeah,
And
Netflix
you know,
is dumb.
they don't have the content. Netflix is full of crap content. Every other show is in a language you don't speak. It's just like and they
Now wait a minute. The K dramas and stuff are good. Don't be sleeping on the K and C dramas.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying some of that.
Quality.
Some of it is type. Some of it is super good. But point I'm making is that their sort of outlook or their philosophy is just flood you with content, where you have like Apple TV and Disney Plus, where they have like less content, but they put a show out once a week, and that keeps you there. Whereas Netflix just gives you the whole series all at once in one day, and they know that you're going to binge the shit out of it and had nothing else to watch, so they just flood much different shit as they can, and it ends up being a lot of crap. But they don't really that's like, you know, they don't really have the juice to pull this kind of file sharing. Like Netflix is not one of those necessities, man. It's a luxury
not like
that
it
people
used
don't
to
need
be.
Oh no,
not
man.
like it used to be. Like they literally introduced tiers. Like the whole thing that made you special. You had no ads, no matter what. You started no ads. Now you have tiers, and it's like, oh, $7 a month, but there's ads. Like, no, Netflix, that's not what made you stick out. I don't understand. And you want a password share? Like who? Or no password sharing? Like who is gonna really oblige by that? If people weren't if people weren't interested in getting your subscription service before, this is not going to make them want to go out and buy it now. Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And
if they put out more content, like more dope content consistently, then it would be a problem. But they don't. I mean, when you think about it, Netflix might put out a couple good shows maybe twice a year, if that. You know, and they the one we just saw, You People, that was good. But what's next?
But that was just one movie.
That's my point. Yeah, how many times you want me to watch You People?
Right. But you know, and they have cool shit like Ozark and all of that, but they drop it all at once, which I do I'm a fan of that. I like being able to binge shows. I hate having to wait a week between episodes of Mandalorian and stuff like that, because a lot of it's better when you can binge it. But it is what it is. I have to trade, you know, content that I really love for not being able to binge it. Apple TV is one of those. Not a lot of stuff on there, really, when you compare it to other streaming services, but the stuff on there is all top fucking notch quality. And you don't mind waiting a week between episodes sometimes. But according to the Netflix update, the members of the same household will be required to set a primary location for their Netflix accounts going forward. And to do this, they're required to connect their TV, which should be signed into the Netflix account, to the Wi-Fi network of their home. And then following this, the user should connect their devices to their home's Wi-Fi network to show they live there and maintain their access. The frequently asked questions goes on to state that only the people who live at the primary location will be able to access the account, whether home or on the road. Consequently, the company may block devices that are not connected to the primary location's Wi-Fi network, but still attempt to use the account. And the new policy requires users to connect to the primary location's Wi-Fi network at least once in 31 days for continued access. And failure to do this would be risking disconnection from their Netflix account. And according to the updated FAQ page, to ensure that your devices are associated with your primary location, connect to the Wi-Fi at your primary location, open the Netflix app or website, and watch something at least once every 31 days. And for those who don't connect to their primary location's network within 31 days, the new policy makes a provision for them to continue accessing the account for 7 days, provided that they can verify that verify the device through email or text. So they're getting, it's really,
they are really bold and greedy. That's all it is. They're bold and greedy, and they're gonna go under if they keep at it. So let this really take an effect. They're going under.
Yeah, but password sharing is one of Netflix's biggest problems. In early 2022, following its first subscriber loss in 10 years, the former CEO, Reed Hastings, blamed account sharing for the company's revenue loss, revealing that 100 million households are engaging in the practice. Which, I agree. For everyone sharing a file, that's someone paying for the thing, and I don't share my.
Right.
I think you can only have so many profiles, like, and how many passwords are you giving out? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna pay for 10 people to have Netflix.
Right.
You might share it with 1 or 2 people.
Right. And then it's like, but the thing is, like, they're not even addressing the root of why people are password sharing so much. You have shit content. Like, that's the real reason, you know? So
right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're really bold to take away password sharing. It's one of the only reasons people still fuck with Netflix.
They're just like not even gonna address that. You keep canceling shows people like, and then if it's not that, you're replacing it with just this horrible shows, reality TV or scripted, whatever. Given these, terrible movies, trilogies, it's just like so ridiculous.
For real, man. It really is. I could see HBO Max trying to get them another Hulu. Netflix sell to someone before they
probably. Yeah.
You never know.
HBO Max is starting to lose me too. They need to get it together over there. So
I was really mad that HBO Max took the stance of, we're not going to really do scripted stuff anymore. It's all going to be reality show crap. Like, and it's so much reality show crap on HBO. And it's like, okay, I get it. People love it.
Right.
But that's all you're doing? It's like, dude, that's not all people want to watch. Are you kidding me?
And then it's like, you're raising your prices. You have the absolute gall to raise your price by $1 for, just in general and now that's $16 a month for ad free. But you're taking content off, and then you're telling us, oh, we're gonna have like reality TV stuff, which is not what people really tune in for. So I don't understand why they don't just listen to consumers. We kind of know what we're talking about a little bit.
I mean, we at least know what we want to see.
Yeah, we paid for it.
Exactly. But speaking of that, The Flash season 9.
Oh yeah.
Trailer. We're gonna watch that real quick. So and chop that up for y'all. So check this, guys. It's Flash season 9 trailer. And this is the first half of it right here. It's a pretty long trailer because it's covering a whole season, I think. But here we go. It's really good.
Barry got into a fight. Guess I wasn't fast enough. It's better to have a good heart than fast legs.
When I was 11, my mom was murdered. I saw what looked like a ball of lightning. Inside the lightning, there was a man. He killed my mom. Sorry.
You can't keep ducking work so you can go off chasing down these urban legends, Barry. Everyone you work with thinks you're a weirdo.
You gotta get yourself a girlfriend.
I've spent my whole life searching for the impossible. Never imagining that I would become the impossible.
Where am I? You're in Star Labs. I need you to urinate in this.
What is happening? What is going on?
You were struck by lightning, dude.
Lightning gave me abs.
You're in a coma.
For how long?
9 months.
Welcome back, Mr. Allen. We have a lot to discuss.
I watched you die, Barry. You kept dying. Your heart kept stopping.
It's still beating.
It's really fast.
See, you thought the world was slowing down. You were going so fast, it only looked like everyone else was standing still. There's so much that we don't understand.
What's happened? You had a distal radius fracture. It's healed in 3 hours.
How is that even possible?
We don't know.
How's it fit? It's a little snug.
You don't really believe he can run that fast, do you?
We've been searching for other metahumans like yourself. The sky went black, and then boom, outside was inside.
Real quick.
Season 1.
That's season 1, right? That's not
season 1.
Yeah, I guess that's the recap for season 1. The good stuff.
Is that what
it was great?
Yeah, that was season 1.
Okay.
That's Gilbart. That's Gilbart in the wheelchair.
And this ain't really the season 9 trailer. But let's watch the second half here. Maybe they'll get into that.
Okay.
Clyde Martin, he's a bank robber. I think he can control the weather. What really happened that night? Dimensional barrier ruptured, unleashing unknown energies into our world. Antimatter, dark energy, X elements. Those are all theoretical. And how theoretical are you? I've been thinking too small. He's still out there. We have to stop him. You're not a hero. You're just a young man who was struck by lightning. Martin! This just keeps getting cooler. Your metahumans have been busy. I need your help to catch Martin and anyone else out there like him. I can't do it without you. I have something that might help. It's made of a reinforced tripolymer. It's heat and abrasive resistant. What if I'm not a hero? What if I'm just some guy who was struck by lightning? I don't think that bolt of lightning struck you, Barry. I think it chose you. Because you can inspire people, watching over your city like a guardian angel. Making a difference. Saving people in a flash. It's time to big bridge. I'll run around it in the opposite direction.
You'll die.
You're not faster than a bullet. Run. Barry, run!
What happened here?
Just your everyday kind of bad guy shootout. My name is Barry Allen, and I am the fastest man alive. A friend recently gave me the idea for a new name, and something tells me it's gotta catch on. Take your own advice. Wear a mask. Cool.
Yeah, that was
It was
definitely
so-
a season 1 trailer, but that was
Yeah, it was so cool, man. I just had to let it run.
Yeah.
That was just a lot of fun. But season 9 trailer is processing right now. I got that coming up next. I had to let it run, man. It was just
good
so good.
times. Good times.
Good
Gave us
shit.
the monologue of the decade. My name is Barry Allen, and I'm the fastest man alive. That's started literally every season.
Yeah. Peak.
Every season. Oh,
Good shit. Yeah, I'm getting season 9.
it was good to take that little trip, though. That little
It was.
nostalgia trip
Yeah.
back.
I thought that was fun. So, no problemo. Let me get this other one up here. Now, this definitely is season 9. Yeah, that's definitely not season 9. Wait a minute. Where is it then? That's not season 9 either. Hold on. Oh well, y'all talk amongst yourselves. Let me get this. Let me find it. Hold on. I got it here.
I think YouTube got us.
Did they?
Yeah, it says on my phone, it says stream unavailable, stream suspended for policy violations.
Oh,
come on, man.
I know, right?
How'd they do that? How'd they do that with?
Oh, wait, we're back. We're back. Okay, we're back. Yeah, on my phone, our thing just came back. So
yeah, I don't know why they even shut it down, because that was totally an altered version.
I know. Ugh,
so
they suck. They must have realized, yeah, we don't really have anything on them. So
it's bullshit, because people do this all the time. I don't understand why can some people
do some research, man.
I know for most people it's like, I know, but even when people do it live, they're fine. That's the thing. Because like pre-recorded, I understand how you can get away with that, but live is another beast.
Right. Remember we were watching the game that one night. I was watching the game. And I was like, yo, the Mandalorian trailer's on. And them dudes are doing it live.
And they were cool.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You know what?
I mean, maybe because they paused every second. I don't know.
Well, they were talking over it and pausing it. Maybe that's what it is.
Maybe that. All right. Well, we could try that.
But I thought if I alter the sound and make the pitch, change the pitch, it should fucking let it go. Maybe I played the wrong. All right. Well, here, you know what? Speaking of the Mandalorian, this is a dope ass featurette right here. Let's run this featurette. Let's see if we can get away with this. Here we go. This is really cool. Check it out.
This team has given us 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, with another season on the way. Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni.
We get into this because we're fans.
The people working on this feel just like you guys do. The legacy of it means something to them.
It is this mix of incredible talent, everyone just bringing it week after week.
I think we've got some really good Jedi working on this series.
I'm very proud of The Mandalorian. It's about becoming part of something larger than yourself. This is the way.
Did you expect The Mandalorian to become such a global phenomenon?
Honestly, I was just happy to get to make Star Wars.
It's Pedro Pascal! I love you! I mean, it had to have been incredibly surreal to watch the show blow up like this.
The Mandalorian blew the doors off social media.
Are you familiar with the baby Yoda from The Mandalorian? Well, I think might be able to unite the country.
He's stolen everybody's heart. Hi,
For a generation of kids now, Grogu represents something that R2 represented to me.
Breakout star.
The most carefully guarded surprise to date, Luke Skywalker's appearance.
For people to be able to discover that in real time was magical.
To see the reactions. Oh my god. That was a high point of my whole career. Makes you grateful that you're doing what you're doing.
Everywhere I've gone, people want to talk about The Mandalorian. And to now have the 3rd season ready to present to the public.
We thought it might be fun to show a sneak peek.
You have removed your helmet. And you are a Mandalorian no more.
All right, kid. Hang on.
It's good. There we go. Yeah, and Diamond Onyx is right. You know, if you distort it, it's supposed to be okay.
Yeah. Maybe volume. I mean, there's so much you got to do sometimes. Volume, distortion.
Yeah.
Because I know I try to lower my volume and then I distort the actual image. I don't distort the audio, so sometimes they get me on that. But
because the thing definitely listens for audio too. Because if you just play a song, then it catches that too. So yeah,
right.
If you distort the image and the audio, I think that's definitely a way to go without having to worry about it. But Mandalorian looks fucking great. I don't know. I can't wait. I think it's gonna be awesome. Ahsoka too. And speaking of Ahsoka, after 7 seasons of Star Wars: The Clone Wars and 4 seasons of Star Wars Rebels, you had Ahsoka finally making her live action, debut in The Mandalorian. And in The Mandalorian, she rekindled the biggest unsolved mystery of Rebels and the New Republic era, where she interrogated Elsbeth for the whereabouts of Grand Admiral Thrawn, making the first live action mention of the Blue Man himself, Grand Admiral Thrawn. And years prior, Thrawn had vanished alongside Ezra Bridger, the main character of the Rebel show, during the Battle of Lothal. And the two were transported to an unknown location via the Pergil hyperspace travel and the big whales that float around and shit, but thus leaving no hints, no evidence about their location. And that was just the end of the show. And both of them, an Empire militant and a Jedi Padawan, seemingly just vanished. But nevertheless, the Rebels epilogue showed Ahsoka and Mandalorian Sabine Wren reuniting to continue their search to go find Ezra and Thrawn and really Ezra, but Thrawn too. And the scene doesn't provide many details, right? But it does confirm that the former Ghost crew reconvenes to find Ezra. And a popular fan theory suggests that Ahsoka's new outfit, namely her staff, will be the key to finding the Lost Jedi in season 1 of the Ahsoka show. One that I'm very excited for. Dave Filoni, the creator of Clone Wars and Rebels, and he's a big, George Lucas is sort of his mentor, and so he's the writer, director, producer, showrunner, and of course draws inspiration from J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. And when Star Wars Rebels and Star Wars Clone Wars, Filoni often shared fan created or conceptual art that tied the shows to Tolkien's stories. And additionally, he connects the characters of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings not to each other, but to their literary archetype, right? And his frequent allusion to the series suggests that the core elements of Tolkien's storytelling technique and character development greatly influenced Star Wars. And, we know that to be the case. And sort of using this information, Ahsoka's transformation in the Rebels epilogue scene takes on a whole new meaning. And in Ahsoka's first, live action cinematic appearance, she's dressed in like warm red hues, and the clothing style evolved as she grew older, but it stayed within the initial, color palette. And as the series and Ahsoka's character grew darker, her wardrobe took on colder tones. From season 7 of Clone Wars to the Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka's wearing blue, gray, and black, and just darker hues, and this makes her appearance in the bright white all the more striking. And the transformation mirrors that Gandalf's transformation from Gandalf the Gray to Gandalf the White. And Filoni even admitted that Ahsoka is following a similar storyline. In one interview, he said, "I've always made comparisons to her heading toward the Gandalf stage, where she is the one that has the knowledge of the world and can help others through it. And I think she's reached that point." And so, Ahsoka's cloak has a deeper meaning, and it suggests that, like Gandalf, Ahsoka went on a personal journey. And when she returned, she was a changed person. And in her transformation, she gained something, right? Knowledge, power, experience, or more notably, this mysterious new staff. And, it would make a perfect transition or a perfect progression for her character to become this sort of, Gandalf character, because she's not a Jedi, and a lot of people really, that kind of is lost on a lot of people. She has a lightsaber. She uses the Force. She was like Anakin's Padawan. She's a Jedi, right? But she's actually not. She actually left the Jedi Order and left all the Jedi teachings behind because she found out that, she realized that it wasn't exactly right and it was kind of corrupt. And then, of course, the Sith are the Sith. So she She's not a gray Jedi. She's just her own thing. She's not a Jedi at all. She's just Ahsoka. She uses the Force. She's got lightsabers, but the lightsabers are white. They're not blue. They're not green. They're not yellow. They're not red. They're white, and that's because they're her own. She's her own deal. And so now this is going to be the first time that a staff guided or protected someone in Star Wars. Remember, Zeb Aurelios was a member of the Ghost Crew in Rebels, and he was led by his bow rifle turned staff in season 2, episode 14 of Star Wars Rebels, Legend of Lasat. And then after the 2 Lasat elders, by pure chance, he found them, and Zeb and his newfound kin attempted to fulfill an ancient prophecy, and it allegedly revealed an intergalactic path to the mystic planet of Lyra San, which a rumored safe haven for the surviving Lasat, elders. And the prophecy required a chosen one, several key figures, and importantly, Zeb's bow rifle. And when Zeb's rifle was reassembled in the ancient way of the Lasat High Guard, it was marked. It served as a makeshift torch that illuminated a hyperspace path for Chopper to follow. And this sort of proves that many cultures and people imbued ordinary objects with great purpose, right? Like from anything, from any franchise that we've been fans of, sci-fi, fantasy, it's all there. And Zeb's bow rifle was initially a useful weapon, and it later served as, the saving grace for the Lasat species. Their entire livelihood rested on Zeb's shoulders as a prophetic, as the guide. And this definitely mirrors Ahsoka at the conclusion of Rebels. And Ezra's fate, by extension, the fate of the Jedi culture, rests on Ezra's shoulders. And so as she reunites with the Ghost Crew, she's most likely, the most likely member to guide them on their search. And she could wield the Force by herself to locate Ezra, or she could channel it through her staff. Like Skywalker's compass, right? You had while the staff could mirror Zeb's rifle in a sense, its shape also points to other storylines, right? The circular shape attached to the top of the staff kind of looks like Jedi runes, and it could be a nod to the world between worlds, which we know is going to be a big part of the show, was a big part of the ending of Rebels, and sort of a big part of Ahsoka's whole journey. And you know what I'm saying? Or in the case of this theory, it could house Luke Skywalker's compass, because Luke Skywalker's compass was seen briefly in Star Wars The Last Jedi and Star Wars Battlefront 2 video game. And there isn't much in the canon to explain like where the compass came from outside of Pablo Hidalgo's Star Wars The Last Jedi's visual dictionary. It says that the antiquated star compass was among the Jedi relics hoarded by the Emperor during his rule. And the compass contains a superluminite lodestone, thus attuning the mechanism to hyperspace vectors and giving pathways for the hyperspace lanes. And the shape, the size, the relationship to the Jedi point to its being used in conjunction with the staff. Season 1 will clarify when the series is set, and in doing so, that's going to explain how and why Ahsoka's transformation occurred. And like The Mandalorian, the Ahsoka show is going to be set between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. But however, there's still ambiguity about, when the series and Rebels epilogue take place with respect to Ahsoka's other cinematic appearances. And Dave Filoni, teased this possible use of the non-chronological storytelling in the same interview. He said that's not necessarily chronological. I think the thing that people will most not understand is they want to go in a linear fashion, but as I learned as a kid, nothing in Star Wars really works in a linear fashion. You do episode 4, 5, and 6, then you do episode 1, 2, and 3. So in the vein of that history, when you look at the epilogue of Rebels, you don't really know how much time has passed. So it is possible that the story I'm telling in The Mandalorian actually takes place prior to that. Possible. I'm saying it's possible. End quote. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, man. Does this mean that Ahsoka reunited with Sabine before joining Luke at the new Jedi Temple? Did Ahsoka gain information on Thrawn in The Mandalorian and pass it along, opting to search for Ezra later? Because she wants to get Thrawn like out of revenge, like she wants to kill that motherfucker. And in the Book of Boba Fett, you know, did Ahsoka have the compass and not the staff? Even prior to the release of Ahsoka, the story of the Padawan turned rebel hero remains one of the most perplexing sort of stories in Star Wars canon. There's so many facets to it. What do you think her role should be in this post-sequel trilogy era?
I think I don't know, man. I don't know, because we've never gotten anything like this with Ahsoka. It's always been she was Anakin's Padawan, and then when she wasn't, we saw a little bit in Rebels and a little bit in Book of Boba Fett and Mandalorian. Having a show, I guess, is going to define the character more for everybody and give them a direction to go with. That's what all the speculation is about. So, you know, the only thing I can say is that I hope they give us a deeper dive into Ahsoka, like they did in those Jedi shorts that we got on, you know, on just now on Disney Plus, because nobody knows a lot about Ahsoka. They never really, you know, we saw a little bit in the Clone Wars, and then we got cut off, and you know, we want to know what happened. We want to know what happens and how her story ends. And this is a good way to do it. Hopefully they do it right. Hopefully they do it right. They don't dog us, and we don't get Teletubby bikes and things of that nature. And they take it serious. I mean, I'm gonna keep it a buck. You know, I really think that the people behind Star Wars on Disney right now, they don't take it serious. They don't really realize the franchise, how big it is.
Well, Dave Filoni definitely does, and John.
No, we know he does. Right, we know they do. But I don't
that's
think
who's making this show. Nah, Kennedy don't. But Kennedy's already out. She's already a thing of the past. We're happy about that. Like, we're very proud that she's out. But right now, like, it's Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, and they're very serious about this character. And I, out of all the shows that are coming out, Ahsoka, you know, out of the new shows, like, I already know Mandalorian's great. I know Boba sucks. I know Kenobi sucks. I know these things. Ahsoka is a show we don't know about, but it's the only, you know, like the Acolyte's coming. That could go hit or miss. That could be total trash. It could be great. All the shows, you know, coming out, Skeleton Crew, like all of these shows could be great. They could be utter trash. Ahsoka's the only one that I have complete faith is going to be as good as Mandalorian. Because it's made by the same people. It's a lot of the same characters, same universe. I mean, basically, it's just an extension. It is a literal spinoff in the best way. And so
I just want to know, is it going to be as good as Andor?
Nah, it'll be different.
I'm blown away by Andor.
Yeah, Andor.
I mean, it is. It
stands in a world.
It's one. It is, but it's just good, you know. Like, it's just really good storytelling, man. Like I'm thoroughly blown away by Andor in the way that, and I hope Ahsoka is that way. I hope it's something that'll blow me away, something that'll have my jaw on the floor when I get to the end credits. That's what I want.
Yeah,
that's what I want right now. That's what I want. Yeah, that's what I want right now. I want my jaw to be on the floor, and I have to pick it up with both hands.
Both hands.
With both hands when the credits roll. That's what I want, man. Disney, if you're listening, that's what I want. And if you can't give it to me, you're gonna lose a whole lot of fans. Because when I'm watching something on my couch, I'm very more critical of it than I am if I went to the theater. Either I like it or I don't. But I'm on my couch, and you can't keep my attention, we got a problem. We really do.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to entertain me when I'm at home. You know, I mean, it doesn't take much. You could pretty much, just give me some basic good old goodness, and that's it. That's all I need. It ain't got to be all that. Now, in theater, I'm demanding a lot more. We're talking about TV shows at home and stuff like that. It don't take much. All you gotta do is put a little budget, a little effort, have some quality acting, quality directing, these kind of things. And it's already it's a pre-made. I mean, you got the fan, it's already there. All you gotta do is do it well. You've already got there's really no, is it gonna be good? I mean, are they gonna like it? We're past that. We like it. Just do it well. Do what we already told you we already liked. Stick to the source material. That's a sure shot way of
Right.
of
All right, help us out.
we already
Help
told
us
you
out.
what it is.
Yeah, let us. You know what? And
We
like
already
I
gave
said
you the
before,
blueprint.
like I said weeks ago, Rena, the price of Disney Plus by the end of this year, because everybody probably re-up last year, before the new year, it's gonna be $100. It's literally gonna be $100. So, for
Crazy.
$100 a year, you're gonna have to give me some dope content, like for real, like, because now I'm gonna start asking the question: is this really worth $100 a year? Am I really enjoying this that much? I'm willing to give Disney, and it's gonna go up even more. But right now, it went up fast. I mean, it's only been out what 3-4 years, and we already at $100. Like, that's Netflix isn't even $100 a year. I mean, come on, that's crazy. So Disney got to step the game up. They really got to step the game
up. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
So yeah, you're right. They do, and hopefully they do. And I reading a comment right now, and Norin Rad. So this link that you sent me, Norin Rad, this is a good video. And I do watch everything always, or everything awesome. And it's the Flash trailer, Red Death Batman. He basically breaks it down, and I'm just not gonna bother with the Flash trailer right now because YouTube is acting foolish. But yeah, I mean, it definitely shows the Flash Arrowverse, is their own thing. But CW sold itself to Nexstar, and they're canceling most of the expensive shows like Flash, and Superman and Lois canceled after this season. But the villains like Red Death, you've got a couple versions of Reverse Flash, Cobalt Blue, Spectre are coming back. But Red Death seems to be the overarching villain for the season. And they keep referring to the timeline changing, you know what I mean? Time machines and stuff. So that's definitely probably part of the storyline. Normally, I'd say, Red Death is going to be from the future because that's how they've sort of portrayed it in previous seasons. But if they're taking content from the comics, Red Death is actually from a different universe and stuff like that. But it's not that I can't show the video. It's that if I play it while we're live, YouTube will shut us down. Like I have season 9 trailer and all of that. They're bugging because if they shut down the show and they don't turn it back on like they just did, which I've never even seen them do, so I thank you for that. Then I have to redo a whole new show and a whole new setup and bring it all back. So it's a big pain in the ass. I'd rather not risk it. But yes, please. But yeah, shoot me that. Let me see. Maybe I could give people the link. Let me see, because I got the link. I can give you all the link.
Yeah, it's sad they want me to show it, and I think that's a sad thing. Because I like the Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Flash was cool until it wasn't. At least for me. I should probably tune in for the final season though, since it's the last of the Arrowverse shows, and Green Arrow's back for whatever reason. However, he's back, so
because it's more crime to be fought. That's all. More villains.
That man died, but you know what? They've done worse, so it's fine. I'm like,
if y'all want to write, that's season 9 right there, guys. Season 9 Flash trailer. If you want to write that down, copy it. That is the trailer. If you just want to watch it. But yeah, Red Death looks very cool. It looks, and I'm Red Death is a dope character. I need a Red Death figure to go with my Flash Rogues villain. shelf, but that's definitely on deck. But yeah, the Red Death from the comics is from a different universe rather from being a different time from the future, which they'll probably do with the show. But yeah, Clone Wars, Ahsoka, 2008 was the animated film. They did a film, Star Wars: The Clone Wars, and that was the first appearance of Ahsoka. And then Anakin Skywalker was the new Padawan. It was Ashley Eckstein doing the voice. And then she would go on to become a main character of the Clone Wars series that followed the Clone Wars movie, which concluded there, with her departure from the Jedi Order, where she just quit being the Jedi Order because they accused her of being a terrorist. They didn't believe her. They didn't trust her. They made all these accusations against her. And once she proved herself to be innocent, she decided that, fuck y'all, I'm leaving. Which was like a really cool thing, and that made me respect her. And I liked Ahsoka for that. That's one of the things. A lot of things like that, man, make her such a great character. That it does, and she's someone that I could get behind. Her personality is remarkably similar to her master's, which is rambunctious and impatient. She's a lot like Anakin, but she won't have the evil. She won't go to the dark side. What are you gonna say?
She's a fan favorite as well. A lot of people like Ahsoka.
Yeah,
a lot of people really like that character.
Yeah, honestly, I was drawn to her when I was playing the games. She was the one I was the most drawn to, but didn't know really anything about her. So I might actually tune in for the show just to kind of get more insight.
The show's great. But I would definitely recommend watching the Star Wars: The Clone Wars series. I think you'll dig it. And then Rebels is a great one. I'm sure you'll like Rebels. She's not really in Rebels until the later seasons or the later episodes, like towards the end, but she's all through what to call them. But Norrin Rad, I'm with you, bro. I'm looking forward to the Acolyte because of the fact that I'm a big Legends fan and I love the whole Sith history and Darth Bane. Like, come on, bro. Dude, a Darth Bane series, a Darth Bane movie trilogy would put them back on the map as far as like Star Wars fans really respecting Lucasfilm again. That would do it. A Darth Bane trilogy of films would be insane, but they'll never do it because they're not that smart. But but the Acolyte has the potential to be great. It does, because it's about the Sith and it's about the Sith Acolyte and it's got all this great, these great connotations. But when you look at who's making it and their past work and what the vibe is in that writer's room, I have very little faith, man. As bad as the Acolyte on paper would be my favorite Star Wars show. Above Andor, above Mando, it would be the favorite show. But I think it's going to be down there with Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi as far as when we actually get it. And I hate to say that. And Norrin Rad, bro, I hope I'm wrong. I do. I really, more than anybody, that would have been my favorite show. But I'm just, man, I got no faith in that team. They don't know Star Wars. They don't care about it. It's like imagine you're gonna get your favorite thing made by your least favorite crew of writers. You know what I mean? It's just it's bittersweet.
Yeah. Yes, it really is.
But yeah, Ahsoka, over the course of that series, Clone Wars, she proves herself to be a very fast learner, taking on opponents like Asajj Ventress and General Grievous, which are big, dark side users, and Grievous is a big ass cyborg. But her chemistry with Anakin is definitely one of the best parts of the entire series. In it, there's tragedy, and most of us know that Anakin eventually becomes Darth Vader, and so that's very interesting to watch him, knowing who he becomes and what he becomes that whole time. And so, as well as the fact that Ahsoka is not mentioned in Revenge of the Sith, the movie, at all. So it's like he totally just like I don't know, just like wiped her out of his mind and shit. And it's crazy because you see how close they are in Clone Wars. You know, a Jedi master and a Jedi's apprentice is almost a father-son, mother-daughter, mother's, you know, it's almost like a parent-child relationship until it becomes a sibling type relationship, at which point the Padawan is now ready to be his own thing. But, you know, Rosario Dawson, bro, she's awesome. So her playing Ahsoka,
right one for that.
I'm definitely happy with that.
One
of the yeah, she looked great. Great actress. Always been a fan of hers. So one of those big W castings right there. You know, if you guys want to see Ahsoka and you haven't seen her in live action, you know, of course you can see her in the Book of Boba Fett. You know, and Mandalorian. But, you know, keeping this in mind, unless she were to die in her own series, you know, how do you guys think Ahsoka should go about interacting with the New Republic and the Jedi Order and at the end of the sequel trilogy? And what should her role, you know, in relation to the sequel trilogy's cast? Me personally, I don't think the sequel trilogy should even be canon anymore, but...
I mean, well, they said she's gonna be like retired, right? In this series or whatever.
She's not
supposed
a Jedi,
to be like retired. Okay, so
she quit the Jedi Order. She quit the Jedi Order because she felt betrayed because they accused her of being this terrorist, and you know, and of course she was innocent, and so she was like, "Fuck y'all."
Yeah, I don't know. She's kind of had a fresh slate, so I don't know, like I don't know where she would really fit. Yeah. She could go anywhere, honestly. So,
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, well, the Clone Wars wasn't shy when it came to demonstrating corruption and, you know, the effects of war on civilians. And the series was entirely necessary because, you know, the sequel trilogy only shows the beginning and the end of the war, and what actually happened and how it primed the Republic's transformation into the Empire and was a blank period, you know, prior to Clone Wars. And perhaps the most notably, you know, though, it shows arrogance, you know, the incompetence of the Jedi Order, you know, in the last days of the Clone Wars. And, you know, it was a Padawan named Barriss Offee, right, bombs the Jedi Temple in a protest of the Clone Wars, and she frames Ahsoka as the culprit, and so Ahsoka is expelled from the Jedi Order and is tried as a criminal. And of course, although the Jedi and the Republic learn that Offee, you know, did it and you know, framed Ahsoka. You know, Ahsoka, you know, it's too late. And rightfully upset with the Jedi, you know, she declines their offer to return and instead, you know, goes off on her own. And, you know, so from the animated series Star Wars Rebels, we know that Ahsoka no longer considers herself a Jedi. She tells Darth Vader as much during their battle. And combined with her prior, you know, tragic fallout with the Jedi, this should inform, you know, the viewer that she would be skeptical of the new Jedi Order. And so assuming that Rey and, you know, whoever ushers in a new era of Jedi, which would seem to be the implication of the sequel trilogy, Ahsoka would want to, you know, wouldn't want to get her hopes too high. You know, after all, it was the Jedi who bent to the will of the corrupt Republic to continue serving as generals in this controversial Clone War. Not to suggest that the Jedi didn't try their best during the Clone Wars, you know, or had bad intentions, but their expulsion of Ahsoka speaks to what they had become, you know, just before the Jedi Purge. You know, and so far as interacting with the new Jedi Order, Ahsoka would definitely be an advocate for them not being as intertwined with the Republic, you know, make them be their own thing. And I mean, but I don't really know where this fits with the sequel trilogy, because it seems like in this Mando verse and Boba Fett and Disney Plus verse, Luke Skywalker is young and he's doing his thing. And so this really takes place in a time when Luke Skywalker is rebuilding the Jedi Order. I mean, this totally goes against the sequel trilogy and their bullshit, the crap they made up. And Dave Filoni and Favreau and all of them that make these shows, they're not fans of the way they wrote that shit. They're not fans of the sequel trilogy. They're trying to work around it and fix it. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how this is gonna go, because according to the sequel trilogy, we saw what happened to Luke Skywalker. But in Book of Boba Fett, he's still very gung ho about starting the new Jedi Order up, and starting his new Jedi Temple and Jedi school and training and all that shit. So I guess that's where I guess they're gonna say he somehow
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. I mean, like when you go watch the new movies, the new trilogy, it just doesn't make sense. Why Luke went into isolation, grew a beard, and didn't want to have anything to do with anybody. Like that, it doesn't make sense. They give the Kylo Ren story a twist, but when you think about it, he had a vision about Kylo Ren, and then he went to try to go kill him, which normally a Jedi wouldn't do. It's just out of pocket. Like none of it makes sense. I think it was all to promote the characters that they wrote and push them to the forefront, and not pay homage to any of the other characters or their stories that came after that. Before that, I mean, none of it makes sense, man. Luke.
Well, the sequel trilogy. I mean, the main protagonist, Rey Skywalker, is the last remaining Jedi after the events of the sequels, and she grew up hearing stories of the Jedi and had a chance to interact with some of the most memorable and legendary figures of Star Wars. And this means that she's likely aware of just how crooked the Jedi had become towards the end of the Clone Wars. And there's nothing to suggest that she isn't aware. In fact, Luke hints at this in The Last Jedi. It's likely that she managed to speak with a Jedi survivor or someone who, at least was alive during that time, like Lando or somebody. And so once Rey starts up the process of trying to permanently reestablish the Jedi, Ahsoka, as mentioned, before, would want to have say in just how the Jedi are being trained and what they're being taught. And to this end, she would probably link up with Rey to offer her assistance. Not only that, but it's not far off to assume that Ahsoka would find a lifelong friend in Rey. Rey was hardly given any training by Luke. Instead, she was basically left to learn from the Jedi texts alone, didn't have a master, somehow became able to wield the Force like the best of them. So who knows where she got that talent. First one in history. But Ahsoka would be a good example of a Jedi who learned formally, and someone who could offer to teach Rey the intricacies of what she doesn't know and maybe make a little more sense out of why she's able to do what she can do. And the reverse can be true as well. Rey is very much an instinctual fighter, and while that might be more difficult to teach, Ahsoka's bound to pick up something from spending time with her. Maybe, I guess, who knows? But it's just like trying to polish a turd, man. I'm trying to make the best out of a shitty situation. I know that the sequel trilogy happened, and unfortunately, so much money went into it that Disney, probably won't allow Star Wars to forget it ever happened, which is what the fans want, But, and Star Wars, honestly, I like the comics and the books more than the movies, but I don't think it's because I think it's because Star Wars works better serialized. It works better as a show. Like, it works better over a long, it's a story. I mean, storytelling is better, I think, over a long period. Like a show to me is like it's a 15-hour movie, right? So movies, everything has to be crammed into an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. And so you don't get a lot. And that's why everything in Star Wars is like mentioned this and mentioned that and told about that and this legend and that. And then we get to really explore it in shows like Clone Wars and Rebels or Legends novels or Marvel Comics and shit like that. But, Star Wars has been a worldwide global phenomenon ever since the first film. And it's actually been 50 years in May, I think, since the first one came out. And so in the time that since Disney's purchased the joint about a decade ago, the amount of Star Wars content being produced has, gone through the roof. We've never had anywhere near this kind of content. It was very always sparse and very, between years and years, and under Disney's ownership, Lucasfilm has produced 5 feature films. It's not just the trilogy. You got to count Rogue One and Solo, and but they've adopted this new focus on shows, and shows like Dave Filoni's animated Clone Wars existed in the years prior to Disney, and there's been a myriad of television projects set in Star Wars that have been produced for Disney Plus over the last few years. The Clone Wars was even revived briefly for a sort of a new final season, like a conclusive final season. Disney Plus made that. And though Lucasfilm has obviously enjoyed massive success in the theatrical film landscape, Star Wars has also found a great new way of storytelling in these shows like Mandalorian and shit. So I think it might be even better to do, Bad Batch. I mean, there's just a lot of show. It's just Star Wars just seems better as a show. But I like shows. I like shows. I like shows better than movies lately because
you think you're a little biased, just a tiny bit.
A little bit.
You get to pause it. That's why you get to go. You get to go do something in between. Now stuck there for 2 hours, 3 hours.
Movie, you gotta sit and take it all in.
Yeah, you can watch it. You can watch an episode and go do some laundry and come back.
And but from a storytelling standpoint, they can explore much deeper into stuff, instead of having to gloss over it like with a movie. They can really delve into whatever, thing that they would have just mentioned in a film. And not only does Clone Wars more thoroughly develop, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan into much more 3-dimensional characters with their talking about their different flaws and strengths, and it introduces endless amount of new characters and worlds and places to populate all over the universe. This is a whole galaxy with countless worlds and shit, and it gives us the first on-screen canonical examples of how the story of Star Wars and the universe, that it has expands further beyond just the Skywalker saga. Like everything that we've to this point has always been something to do with Skywalker, with Luke or Anakin or whatever. And so, but there's so much more, like we see with Andor. Like Andor is a fucking gem, right? A hidden gem, because it's something we never knew we wanted that now is like the best shit out there. And whether it be the complicated political, stuff of Andor or Mando, the developing dynamics and personalities of the Republic's clone soldiers, the various adventures of other Jedi, right? Because there's still others, Kit Fisto, Shakti, Plo Koon, right? Quinlan Voss. And the Clone Wars was not afraid to push the boundaries of what fans have gotten from Star Wars before, and going into all those other, and we got stuff. I mean, the Dark Saber, and there's so much stuff that came out of that show and shows like it, and books and comics, stuff that we didn't never get from the movies. Now people never think about that. They think about Star Wars, they think of the movies. That's like not my favorite part of Star Wars. The movies are cool, but if you really, really want to get into it, read the novels and the comics and the shows.
This is true. Well, I got a unboxing that I have to show you guys.
Oh,
hell yeah!
Sir, these came in the mail just a little while ago.
Flat out.
So I had to jump off real quick. Pooyah.
Look at that, baby.
Yeah. Captain America Is that a what?
Bulldozer.
Yeah.
This is the first appearance of MODOK.
Is that a 12-cent?
Oh,
15 cents.
First appearance.
15
Keep that
cents.
in the cover. That'll be worth some money after this month because that's when Quantumania comes out and we get MODOK or whatever.
This is the first appearance of MODOK ever in the comics. And then this here is Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man number 13. Nice. Which is Norrin Rad. Can you help us out if you're out there? The first appearance of Red Goblin.
Beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah. And this is the variant cover. I like this one. This
yeah, that's
see Spider-Man. See Spider-Man fist bumping the fan while he's swinging through the city.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
With all the exaggerated swagger of a black teen.
Yes, sir. I didn't want him to freeze out there on the porch.
I was watching.
Yeah, they would have been frozen.
Yeah.
Somebody did a video about the Miles Morales video game. Or I don't know if it might have been even in the advertisement. And it was like showing how he was flipping, and there was like, he's got all the style and exaggerated swagger of a black teen. And I was like,
yeah, I was like, I think that's when that meme was born. I was like,
no. Yeah, I was like, no. Like head
okay.
smack. Yeah,
right? I'm speechless.
Yeah, man. On top of all that, man, Lucasfilm is gearing up to explore new eras and new areas of the Star Wars universe and through Disney Plus. So we'll see lots of shit like this. And this will be seen most imminently through Tales of the Jedi, which will hit streaming service later this year. Tales of the Jedi was so cool. Had some of the best lore and stuff like that. We got to see Count Dooku when he was still a Jedi Master, and we got to see Qui-Gon Jinn when he was still a Padawan of Count Dooku, who at the time. So yeah, that show is great, and that's what I'm talking about. Shows like that let us delve deeper into characters and legends and stuff that we would never get to touch in a movie. And the show is animated in the same style as the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch. And it will detail, the various lives of different Jedi throughout the canon and stuff like that. But I can't wait till the next season of that. And but yeah, I mean, there's a lot coming in. I think, what did they say? The Skeleton Crew show has a budget bigger than Mandalorian. So
oh boy.
Yeah, that's something.
Look that up.
That's because why, Reno? Because Andor is such a hit.
Yeah.
Andor did it. Listen, Hollywood. Listen, my grandfather used to always say, "There's nothing new under the sun." He used to always say that. He's like, "There's nothing new under the sun. Nothing." You think when you're young and you think something's new, or you did. Trust me, somebody did it before. It's been done before.
Yeah,
it's just already been here. And so Andor showed them that you could do a quality Star Wars film. I mean, a TV show that felt like Star Wars, looked like Star Wars, just didn't have Jedi in it. But it did have Star Wars politics, banter, and everything else in it. And so I think that's what they're going to try to do with this show and sprinkle as much, Star Wars in there. I mean, like other things that they can, but it literally, it'll probably be like Andor. So don't expect to see much of what you're used to when you watch a Star Wars film, or or basically don't expect it to follow any characters from the main storyline. That's how I feel. Which Andor did, but didn't do, because Andor actually added characters to the main storyline.
Yeah,
and incorporated it so well. Yeah,
outside
the
Skywalker saga.
It's right. It's so well incorporated into the main storyline that we've been following that it's ridiculous. It's great, and watching it is great, man.
Well, despite Kathleen Kennedy revealing recently that Star Wars is coming back to the big screen in the future in a big way, Lucasfilm is not. They're definitely doing their Disney Plus stuff They're giving it their best. I mean, Skeleton Crew reportedly costing around $136 million for the first season. I don't know how much of that's going to Jude Law, but he's starring in it. But to put that in context, The Mandalorian was about $100 million. So this is about $36 million more than the Mandalorian, which is crazy. And this is a story that's going to be a sort of coming of age story about kids attempting to find their way home following the fall of the Empire. So it's going to be a younger show. So there'll be lots of like younger action and won't be a lot of like political talks and things like that like you would see in Andor, but you would definitely get a lot of like action and stuff like that, adventure and stuff like that. But the details about the expected budget of the series, saying the 136 million was massive compared to other Star Wars projects, and put alongside the 150 to 225 million dollar budgets assigned to Marvel Studios shows like WandaVision, Loki, and Hawkeye. It doesn't actually seem that high at all. But in the end, the budget is pretty irrelevant to me as long as the series, pays its way by bringing new subscribers, by giving us quality, stories with good acting and good directing and just good quality, man. We don't, because they can do all the budget they want and make it, all the bells and whistles and make it look all flashy. And if it just if the acting and directing is crap, it's gonna be a waste of all that money. So I'm not really impressed by that, that big budget shit. Although I will say, like, some shows like Kenobi could have definitely used a little more budget. So
some shows like Kenobi could have used a little more writing.
Everything.
Yeah,
like a better. Listen, I believe the Star Wars nerds that I talk to. I really do believe them because it all makes sense, bro. It's the only thing we've ever gotten that makes sense. That Kathleen Kennedy slipped in there a lot of the stuff that she wanted to do years ago when she wrote an Obi-Wan movie, and they said it was trash, and they told her to trash it. And I think that's what she did. I think she took out the stuff she wanted to take out and put in the stuff she wanted to get her stuff, and to try to prove to them, well, I know Star Wars. I'm good. I can do Star Wars. You can't. Filoni, was ready to walk out from what I hear. He was ready to leave. Like, he was like, look, I'm done. Like, Book of Boba Fett is so bad, I'm just done. Like, I can't even stomach it. The only thing that saved it was they let him direct those last 3 episodes, those 3 episodes that we saw, and that's what saved Mandalorian from being a total flop. I mean, Book of Boba Fett. And they said that it was her idea as well to bring back Grogu, because they said they weren't bringing back Grogu for at least another season. Like, he was supposed to be gone off training, and they wanted to bring him back as like a full-fledged Jedi, like a badass. Like, they wanted to bring him back. And Kathleen Kennedy kept saying, "Oh, bring him back, bring him back. He's like the R2D2. He makes the money. He's this." And they were like, "Yeah, but that's why we sent him off to go train." And so Filoni, they were saying that Filoni didn't want to bring him back, like come back to Mandalorian season 3, and then Grogu's back. So they had to explain how he got back and why he came back. And that's why they did those episodes in Book of Boba Fett, which we needed, because Book of Boba Fett was going nowhere anyway. That story was going nowhere.
Nah, but they should have saved. They shouldn't have wasted them on Book of Boba Fett. They should have left them episodes for season 3 of Mandalorian, because people that didn't watch Book of Boba Fett are gonna have no fucking clue how Grogu and Mando are back together, because if you didn't watch.
Well, you're right, but they were saying that they didn't do it. They had to do it because Kathleen Kennedy's in charge, and her thing was bring him back. Bring him back. Like, she wanted him there on the first episode, like, and so Filoni was like, "Yo, like, we just took him off the show to go train as a Jedi. How we have to explain to people how we bring, and we only have so many episodes, so how are we gonna bring him back?" So that gave them actually 3 extra episodes, even though they're not part of season 3. Like we always kept saying we were watching it, that felt like Mandalorian. So those are 3 extra Mandalorian episodes. If you don't know it, you
They
can
were
watch and
Mandalorian.
then
They
watch
were,
season. Yeah, they were Mandalorian episodes. You can watch those 3 episodes and then watch season 3, and you're good. But according to Filoni, he didn't want to do it, and he was pissed and was gonna walk off.
mm-hmm.
That's
You
dope
move
right
that.
there, man. Ew, I always get these covers. I always get
This
these
comes
comic
out.
covers that come out like that.
No, this is an actual figure, and this comes out this summer. This is an actual figure that the helmet removes. Check it out. The you know what I'm saying? Like it's a three-piece
Wait a minute, look at the
helmet.
articulation on it. Like, look, Vader got
That's
his
what's
hands behind
crazy.
his back, like
Yeah.
he doing in the movie. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I gotta get that. That's the vintage one.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's the
So
best looking vintage one I've seen so far.
yeah, this is a 3-inch 375. This is a small figure. It'll be $16.99, and that's what's crazy. Like all this sort of detail on a 3.75 is a lot. This is normally something you would see on like a Black Series, but yeah. For a small
we need
figure,
2 of them.
that's
We
hot.
need 2 of them right now. I'm gonna have to spend $30. We need 2 of them.
You get 2. Yeah, one.
Yeah, I need 2. I'm gonna have to open one. Yeah, I'm gonna have to open one. I'm gonna have to leave one in that card. And that card back like that.
Yep. There's speaking of the Bad Batch and the shows, so Bad Batch, if you've been following episode 6, spoiler alert, but Bad Batch, so Star Wars is debunking a major theory about the balance of the Force, right? So when Anakin Skywalker made his official timeline-wise debut in episode 1, Phantom Menace, people were surprised to find that George Lucas had integrated a form of messianic tradition into his mythology, and Anakin was presented as the chosen one, being conceived by the Force, immaculate conception, to restore balance. And George Lucas was careful not to reveal too much, though, with the chosen one prophecy and the nature of the balance, and remaining something of a mystery. And so even in Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, Yoda admitted the prophecy could have been misinterpreted. And because people were questioning, like, wait, this guy's the balance? Like, what are you talking about? And so the Disney era of Star Wars was built on the foundation of the prequels, exploring a lot of the concepts and ideas Lucas hinted at. Claudia Gray's novel, Master and Apprentice, finally unveils the chosen one prophecy, but the nature of the balance of Anakin brought has some increasingly debatable, as Star Wars has explored other Force traditions across the galaxy, but still a common theory has been that the Jedi had lost their way in the centuries before the prequels. And so, and that Anakin, served to bring balance by destroying both the Jedi and the Sith, so the Jedi could begin again. It's a simple concept, and a lot of people were like, thought that he was supposed to come in and just bring balance to everything, but no, he wasn't like the harmonious balance guru guy. He was just a tool. He becomes Darth Vader and all this terrible shit, but it's just that he's sort of the catalyst that changes everything. And Anakin was even fulfilling his destiny when he participated in Order 66 and killed the younglings, and but it is however becoming increasingly unlikely. But the main problem is that there are simply too many Order 66 survivors. There were 10,000 Jedi at the beginning of the Clone Wars. And although many died or deserted during the conflict, a remarkable number, seem to have survived. And assuming even that Order 66 was 98% effective, as in Legends canon, as they say, that means that there could have been anything of up to 200 remaining Jedi still alive, still out there, still doing their thing. Yeah. And so the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus TV show revealed that an entire underground that have formed, during the dark times of the Empire's reign, and basically, underground railroading Jedis across the galaxy, and even Star Wars: The Bad Batch introduced an Order 66 survivor, the Wookiee Jedi named Gungi or Gungi. And these Jedi were hunted relentlessly by Darth Vader and his Inquisitors, but statistically speaking, quite a few, must have still been alive after the Empire fell. And so Anakin Skywalker's former Padawan Ahsoka even met with Luke Skywalker, spending time with him on planet Tython as he tried to reform the Jedi, as a thing. And the prequel Jedi's influence must have endured. But Tython is the planet where the Jedi originally came from. But even more interesting though is the fact that the Force actively helped the Jedi hide from the Empire during the dark times. And, this can most easily be seen in Star Wars The Bad Batch Episode 6 that I'm talking about, and which revealed the Padawan Gungi and had survived Order 66. And though he had grown up among the Jedi, he began experiencing Force-induced dreams of his homeworld of Kashyyyk and decided to go there, to see what's going on. And so this was a smart decision, and the best place to hide a Wookiee Jedi, is among other Wookiees. They all look the same, right? So, especially given the Wookiees were always friends of the Jedi, and this is important because it means that it will, the will of the Force is to keep Gungi alive, and it's reasonable to assume that the same is true for Order 66 survivors as well. And if that's the case, the Force clearly didn't want the Jedi to be wiped out, right? And so whatever the term balance of the Force may mean, then it doesn't involve the wholesale destruction of the entire prequel era Jedi Order. It's something very different and possibly much less complicated. Something more simple, like, I think it sort of raises the question, like, how Anakin really did bring balance to the Force. The prequel era, right? Jedi, they believed that, it meant the destruction of the Sith. That's it. Like, for them, the chosen one was going to bring balance to the Force by destroying the Sith. That was their enemy, and that's the way they saw it.
I think he brought balance by destroying everything. Like, he just, because he even showed the corruptness in the Jedi and how they were wrong, and the Sith, and how that whole war had to end before it destroyed everything. Because that's what ultimately happens when if World War II would have been allowed to go on longer, it would have definitely destroyed most of this planet, and we would still be recovering now. And the atom bomb was the Luke Skywalker of that era. It actually brought balance to the world. They dropped that bomb, and everybody was like, "Hold up, wait a minute." It's like, "I give up. We got to, now we can talk." So that's what Anakin did. He actually, and Luke kept saying it in Return of the Jedi. He was like, "Yo, I feel there's good in you. Like you're not totally happy with what's going on, and you're just really going along with it."
Right.
But in the end, Luke Skywalker.
My bad.
I'm good. Yeah, but in the end, Luke Skywalker did, and it wasn't really Anna, it was really Luke that brought the balance to the Force by, having Vader destroy the Emperor, and once the Emperor was gone.
But because Vader really did kill the Emperor, you know what I'm saying? It was Vader that killed the Emperor. So in that way, Anakin brought balance to the Force by killing the Emperor.
Oh yeah. But it was MP4's son that made him do it. Like, he saw Luke suffering. And you read the comics, Vader didn't give a damn about anybody or anything. He killed a lot of people, and there was no reason for him to save Luke, but he did it anyway.
Yeah. But and even Anakin is in the Last Jedi, or the sequel trilogy, where you can hear Anakin's voice sort of encouraging Rey to bring balance to the Force by killing Palpatine like he did. So yeah, it's a lot to it, man, but it's definitely easy to understand why some people want to believe that Order 66 was a necessary part of Anakin's destiny, you know, and it's such a poetic idea. But these theories, you know, they're overcomplicating the idea of the balance of the Force, which at its heart is very simple. The Force is out of balance when the Sith are dominant. And thus Anakin and later Rey brought balance to the Force simply by ending the line of the Banite Sith, you know, as we see in the main saga. But yeah, man, if Star Wars really, you know, if they ever want to get real, bro, they're gonna have to go back to Legends. They have to. They're gonna have to go to Legends and give us the good shit, the real shit.
Everybody talks about Legends. I never got into it. Yeah, everybody talks about it. I've never heard anybody that was a true Star Wars fan not talking about Legends. And what I don't understand for the life of me is why they never chose to go with that moving forward with Star Wars now in this modern age that we're in. Yeah.
Well, there's a simple reason, and sorry, it's that Kathleen Kennedy and those at the helm of Lucasfilm wanted Star Wars. They wanted the lead not to be a white guy. They wanted the lead to be a female or person of color or something. And so in Legends, Luke remains the main character. He develops and evolves as he would and becomes who he would have become based on where the movies left off, and you know, becomes powerful. But he's got a wife named Mara Jade who is extremely powerful and extremely dope character. Would have made a great fucking female strong character that they could have used. And they've got kids, and you know, Han and Leia, they've got a son named Jason and Jason Solo, and then Luke's got a son named Ben Skywalker. You know what I'm saying? And then they just mixed them together and gave us Ben Solo.
Now, Reno, I do hear that a lot. I hear a lot of people that read Legends and different Star Wars books say that these last 3 movies, even though they said quote unquote, none of that stuff was anything outside of whatever they said was canon. All the out canon stuff, a lot of people said that they mixed that into these new movies, and so they were mad because like one guy I work with, he was like, look, it was just stupid. Like he said, Star Killer Base. He said that was in one of the books, Star Killer Base, but they called it something different, and the way it worked and everything, it used the power of a sun to get energy to fire the beam. He was like, dude, it was literally in one of the other books. Force Awakens. Like, I don't get that. Yeah, he said, I don't get it. He said, I don't get why. Yeah, why they say it's not canon, but then they put the stuff in it.
Yeah,
and then Ben Solo, all that. They talked about all that.
Great. Force Awakens would have been awesome to give us a Force Awakens storyline with not Force Awakens. I'm sorry, Force Unleashed. Forgive me, Force Unleashed. Force Unleashed, the video game with Starkiller. That's where you got Starkiller Base, but Luke wasn't originally going to be named Luke Skywalker. It was originally going to be Starkiller. There was Anakin Starkiller. It wasn't. Skywalker came later. The idea, his original story, his original idea was they were called Starkiller, not Skywalker. But yeah,
that's right. Yeah, he was called Luke Starkiller. You're right. Yeah. I remember seeing it.
Wow.
There's a whole, and they actually made a comic book where they made a comic whole version of the original script. Very different script. The characters are very different.
Sorry.
Like, you're good. Anakin or Luke, the characters are just different, man. There's like older. This is a very different story, but it's still really cool. So yeah, if you're interested, you can look that up. It's something or other, George Lucas's original script, as he originally wrote it before they made the movie. But Marvel Comics has shared official details about Star Wars Revelations #1. So that's a new comic that's about to drop. Actually, I think it's already out. Yeah, Star Wars Revelations. I guess they're coming out with the next one, but they the comic books from Marvel, right? The Star Wars comics from Marvel are gearing up for what looks to be, set to be an epic year and probably some great crossover events. But it definitely began with Star Wars Revelations #1, which was a giant-sized one-shot that revealed what lies ahead in the titles like Star Wars Darth Vader, Star Wars Dr. Aphra, Star Wars Bounty Hunters, and you've got the Star Wars Hidden Empire, which is a limited series that's coming soon, and basically they follow the events of The Empire Strikes Back. Marvel's line of Star Wars comics has redefined the franchise's mythos with bold sagas set during this largely unexplored time period. It's never been really explored in any other medium, and those stories are definitely not over, because Star Wars Revelations laid the groundwork for major turning points to come for these adventures, and they continue to head towards a very unpredictable future, and that's exciting for Star Wars because it's pretty rare. Written by Mark Guggenheim, and lots of different artists are involved. Perry Perez, Paul Fry, Justin Mason, and it's set amidst the infamous lava pools of Mustafar, where Anakin and Obi-Wan had their final battle, and Anakin got his limbs cut off, and you should all know Mustafar. And Darth Vader watched, the destiny of the rebellion and the Empire. You had Dr. Aphra and the galaxy's most notorious bounty hunters in a vision that left him and the fans very affected, to say the least. And now Marvel Comics has released some official details on the possible future events that may or may not come to pass. But you got Tonka versus Bosk already unfolding in the Star Wars Bounty Hunters #29. R2D2 Squad. What could R2D2 be doing with IG-88 and BT and 000? The Dr. Aphra kissing Domina, which Aphra's with Santa, so that's weird. Then you got Luke Skywalker is faced with the choice of green kyber crystal or red, and so that will be Luke leaning towards the dark side. There's a lot of shit, bro. Darth Vader's handmaidens. You got last time Darth Vader came face to face with the other handmaidens, it didn't end so well, so they might team up. There's a lot of shit going on this year in Star Wars comics. So like I said, guys, Star Wars movies are just the very tip of the iceberg. If you love Star Wars movies and you just want more, trust me, go to the comics. You'll get all the Star Wars you want. But yeah, Stu, I know you got to go to work and shit, and it's kind of like our show is been over. We're just chopping it up, y'all, and just kicking it. But Monday, guys, we'll be back, and I want to do I want to talk a lot about the mutants. I want to talk about the mutants, not just coming to the MCU, mutants in the comics, what's going on right now in the X-Men comics, what's coming for the X-Men, what's down the road for all the mutant teams and all the mutant titles. So we're definitely going to get deep into all that mutant shit on Monday at 6:30 p.m. So we're here Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 6:30 live every week. We love y'all, man. So we'll definitely can't wait to see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend. And I think Stu's already gone and you went to work. So that's it. That's our show. Peace. We out.